This year, I've read more than 25 books. And in this video, I'll show you each of the book that I've read and what I like about them. My reading journey moved across history, politics, psychology, fiction, philosophy, and biographies. So it's wide variety of topics which I read. This year started with Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose and in many ways revolving around it. I read many books on Bose because I want to understand his complete life, from his birth till the conspiracy surrounding his death. So I started with a really small book, that is Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose by Dr. Sisit Kumar Bose. This book gives a clear chronological account of Netaji's life and his work. I liked it because it built a strong factual base before entering into the world of conspiracy. The next book which I read is Bose, The Untold Story of an Inconvenient Nationalist by Chandrachud Ghosh. And it's really thick book. It's around 700 pages. So it took time to read. So if you want to start with this book, then remember it's gonna take time. What I like about this book is that it explains why Bose remained politically inconvenient even after independence. Now we are going to enter into the world of conspiracies surrounding the mysterious disappearance of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose or his supposed death. So the first book in this series is called The Bose Deception Declassified by Chandrachud Ghosh and Anustha. So this book questions the official story of Bose's mysterious disappearance using declassified document and simple logic. It also covers the three commissions set up by Indian government to investigate the mysterious disappearance of Bose. I like this book because it forces the reader to doubt the so-called official story of his death. And if you read this book, you will also have some doubt and you will also question the official story because it does not make sense. There are some instances which simply answer your question that the story is a lie. So I would recommend you to read that book if you want to know about the mysterious disappearance of Bose. So it may not provide you the answer, but it will definitely provide you some clue that what is happening in the background that we all don't know. Some people say that after the so-called death of Subhash Chandra Bose, he lived the life of a unnamed sadhu. Just remember the time of 1980s. You have heard of a sadhu unnamed so-called Gumnami Baba. So our next book, that is Conundrum, Subhas Bose's life after death, included this story around it, and it goes into depth. If you see, this book is really thick and it also takes time. Okay. So if you want to know about that part of the story about the life of Subhash Chandra Bose, I would recommend you to read this book. Okay. And it's one of the time taking book. It took me around 4 months to read it because I read slowly and in part. Because sometimes I feel I do need to refer to more books or about Bose to confirm and check the facts. So this book basically take time. So in simple, I would like to say that this book explore intelligence file witnesses and post 1945 development. I like it for its depth and showing that the story continues even after his supposed death. Our next book is A True Love Story, Emilie and Shubhas. So this book offers a new and fresh perspective on Netaji's personal life, his love life, married life, and he also have a daughter. I know this all seems so strange to few people because many of us are not aware about this fact of Bose's life. Even I was not aware about this fact. When I was reading this book, I get to know about it. I like this book because it shows the human side of our leader, that is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Now we will move a bit from the books of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. The next book is by Sanjeev Sania, that is Revolutionaries. So this book simply presents another perspective of our freedom struggle, our independence. It reminds us that India's independence was not the result of Gandhi's non-violence alone. There are many other people who are involved in this struggle. So I would like you all to please read this book once. At the back end, there are a lot of struggles and things going on which we are not aware of. And maybe because of that, Gandhi's non-violence thing may have worked. I simply did not understand how non-violence could be the sole reason for our independence. So books like these help you to understand that another perspective. I am not disrespecting Mahatma Gandhi here. I am simply saying this could not be one and the sole reason. After Bose and freedom struggle, my reading naturally moved toward modern Indian politics, power, violence, hidden truth, and some uncomfortable question that these books have left with. So in this series, our first book is by Anusdar, that is, Your Prime Minister is Dead. This book simply investigates the assassination of our Prime Minister, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri, and it dives into great detail related to this assassination. And this book exposes gaps, silences, and left some uncomfortable questions related to the official story. Until now, we don't have the answer how our Prime Minister died. So, if you are more interested in this story, like the case, you can watch the movie The Tashkent File by Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri, and there's also book on it. You can also read that. Our next book is Political Mysteries by K.R. Malkani. So this book deals with some unresolved question. For example, who has the conspiracy of killing Mahatma Gandhi? How our former Prime Minister Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri died under mysterious circumstances? How Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay was murdered? And various other questions. I enjoyed it how it connects dots that are usually kept hidden from public discourse. So do read this to know more about these mysterious things and political events that happen, which are usually not discussed in open public platform. Delhi riots, conspiracy unwrapped. So this book basically analyzes the Delhi riots beyond headline and social media. It presents an overall account of these riots. It focuses on fact, timeline, and who are responsible for these. So these riots happened around February 2020. And at this time, the CA law was also passed and Donald Trump was also visiting India. So these rights are planned if you see the events. Okay. So to know more about it, please do read this thin book. It's not that much big, but it would give you great detail about this incident. Or right. Our next book is The Blood Republic of Bengal, and it was written by Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri. A movie is also called The Bengal File. I hope you have watched the movie till now, and if not, I'll recommend you to watch it. And if you are a reader like me, then please read this book to know more about that story. So it basically revolves around the Hindu genocide on a large scale on the Direct Action Day and the Noakhali massacre. From the political event, my reading moved deeper into ideas, how history is written, who writes it, and how colonial frameworks still shape our thinking. So in this series, our first book is by Utpal Kumar, that is Eminent Distorian, Twist and Truth in Bharat History. So this book questioned dominant historian and their interpretation in the Indian history. I really enjoyed this book because it exposes biases that are often presented as academic neutrality. And these biases are often present in our history book and we often read them. So to know more about these biases which are present in our history book, I will recommend you to read this book. The next book is The Caste Conversion, a Colonial Conspiracy. This book examines how caste and conversion were reshaped during colonial rule. I like it how it shows the social division which are used to divide and rule over us. So it's a really thin book. Do read this to know about this caste, word and jati. Over time, I grew my interest into history and specifically Indian history. So I thought, why not read a book which would give you an entire timeline of Indian history? And that is where this book comes in. A New History of India. So this is a nice and simple book if you want to read about a complete account of Indian history from the starting of humans till present. So it attempts to retell Indian history outside of colonial and Marxist framework. And one of the best thing about this book is that it presents you the detail about the northeast part of India also and the south part of India also. The problem with the history book is that most of them are around Delhi. So they treat Delhi as a center and build history around that. But India is far more than that. Okay, India is large. And if you go back into the history, India is really large. So I want a book that give a complete timeline irrespective of the Delhi centric framework which we are presented with. The next book is India That is Bharat by J. Saidi. So this book explores India as a civilization rather than just a modern nation state. I really like this book because it connects law, history, culture into a single civilizational arc. This book provides me with a new perspective. Like if I say in simple term, you read a book, then read this book and read that history book again. You will see how you view that existing book from a different perspective and how your perspective change because now you try to see it from an indigenous point of view. Okay, because the problem is that the our culture, our Indic culture, we see it from a Western point of view, and that is wrong. You cannot see it from that point of view. It will always be wrong. It will always be orthodox. So this book simply removes your colonial lens, that framework from your mind. After history and ideology, my reading turned inward toward individual meaning, behavior, and the psychology behind everyday life. So the first book in this series is 12 Rules of Life by Jordan B. Peterson. This book is kind of thick and with small font, so it's gonna take time, and that is good because this book is heavy. Specifically, from my point of view, it's heavy, so it's gonna take time for you to understand and grasp its concept. So this book connects personal responsibility with the meaning and order in life. I like it because it combines psychology, philosophy, and real life example. The next book is a classic, and that is Metamorphosis by Kafka. So, this book tells an unusual story of alienation and identity. I like it how it captures loneliness and loss of meaning in modern life. So, I would just recommend you to read this book because it's small and its story is so damn good. Like, just read it and then comment on the video below and say thanks because after reading this book, you will definitely gonna thank me. Okay, I'm telling you. Just see the title, Metamorphosis. Okay, read that book. I'm telling you to read that book. So the next book is really interesting, and the title is Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read Men. I really enjoyed this book because it explores psychological and biological difference between men and women. It explains everyday behavior in a simple and relatable way. So after reading this book, you will see why some tasks are specifically performed by men and some are performed by women. Because we men and women are built different. We are optimized for different tasks. It's not that a woman cannot do the task done by men or a man cannot do tasks done by women. We all can do. But the difference is in the optimization, and it is this optimization that lead to efficient performance. And if you are a computer science student, you know the importance of optimization between different algorithm. So this brain also runs different algorithm. Okay. So it is just that optimization which makes a task efficient by woman or man. Just that. So just read this book. It will be really interesting to see different thing happening in it, and it will also help you in your day-to-day life. The next book is Death by Sadhguru Vasudev Chakki. So this book tells you about death and insider story. It critically examines the spiritual aspect of death in great detail. And if you are a Hindu, you would easily connect with this book because it teaches you different customs which are there in Hinduism and how logical they are. And this book tells you that death is not what you think, it's simply a new life. So, this book tells you about life, how you should use it more optimally. So, do read this book and try to connect it with from a spiritual dimension. So, in between history, psychology, and other heavy topics, I usually turn to Hindi novels. These Hindi novels help me lighten my mind, slow my thought, and bring me back to simple human emotion, which I want. So let me start with a few novels. Like my first Hindi novel is Gunaon Ka Devta. And you know why I started it? Because I started seeing this on Instagram too much. And I feel I just want to read it. When I first read this book, it was heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking that I would not recommend it to people. And I've hidden this book. But now it's fine. Then I searched more for more Hindi novels. Then I started seeing that people recommend Ret Ki Machli after Gunav Ka Dil. Because the main thing is that these two authors, that is Dharmveer Bharti and then Kanta Bharti, are married and then they are divorced. Okay. So these two novels are inspired by their real life. Okay. They are real life inspiration. Now, after reading both the novels, I cannot see them as novel. I kind of try to find their story in these novels. And that kind of ruin the story itself because this story is heartbreaking. But the thing with that is that I'm going to say one drawback is that its emotion is stressed too much. But when I read this book, its emotion are raw, pure and plain, which I really like about this book. So next novel is by Vinod Kumar Shukla, Diwar Mein Khidki Rehti Hai. And this book is really good. It's so simple, it's so profound. It does not have any up and downs. It's the book which I want to go into and just remain into this book. I don't want to come back. Because it's so profound, so simple and so fantastic book. So this book simply captures your everyday life with simplicity and deep sensitivity. It shows how ordinary moment can carry profound emotional learning with. Okay. So next come few novels from the Divya Prakash Dubey. So these are few novels. I have few of them. I've given to one of my friend. So one thing I want to say about Divya Prakash Dubey, his writing style is too good. Writing style is young and emotionally honest, which set him apart from other authors which I have read. Okay. So there are a few books. So see, across this book, what I like most is how naturally he write, Divya Prakash Dubey, about love, confusion, friendship, family, modern relationship, without any drama. Okay. So these are all my Hindi novels. And initially, I was not a reader of fiction. I thought this is just a waste of time. But after reading Hindi novels and then Kafka's book and like a few other which I want to read, I say fiction is also good. Do read it. So why Hindi literature matter? It helps you connect directly to your emotion, culture and live reality. It does not try to impress. It tries to feel. If you want story that speaks softly, stay longer and feel closer to real life, you should really read Hindi literature. So 2025 has taught me that reading is not about completing your target like I want to read 50 book, I want to read 100 book. It's about asking better question. Like history taught me to doubt official stories. Politics taught me to look beyond headline. Psychology taught me to look inward. And literature told me to slow down and feel. So this year specifically made me more curious about history and politics. It reminded me that the more you read, the more you realize how much is still left to understand. And for that me is the true value of reading, that it made me curious to read more, to dig more. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you really like any of the book or have read this book or want any detailed review, do comment that down. And also tell me how many books you have read this year. Are you able to complete your target or not? And if not, I hope in the next year, that is 2026, you would be able to read more books and able to complete your target. So, like this video, subscribe to this channel for more book discussion. So, thank you. Have a nice day. Peace.